Hi again. Okay, we're gonna do another take on this because I forgot to turn my Wi-Fi off on my last one, and we live out in the country, and our Wi-Fi out here is terrible and really slow, and so it created a really bad quality video. So we're gonna do this again, and what I showed you guys earlier was a little tutorial on how to take your own newborn pictures. Um, I know that it won't replace a professional photographer that knows how to pose and handle babies and take pictures of them, but since we can't work right now, I'm not able to take pictures for you, and so I thought I would show you how to take your own newborn pictures, because I hate that people are missing out on important things, even though it's not considered essential. I think it is. I think it's really important. But for the start of the tutorial, I thought I would share a few tips on how to get started. And the first tip I have is choosing a room in your home that has really, really good light. Light is probably the most important factor of photography in getting a good picture, is the amount of light you have and where it's placed. So choose a room in your home that has a good window. It doesn't have to be a huge window. This is a really just standard size window. But I have some white curtains in front of it, and the walls in this room are really light, and so it just has a really good natural light. And right now it's 2, almost 3 in the afternoon, and so I don't have direct sunlight coming in here. The sun is kind of on the other side of our house, so it's not a direct harsh sunlight. It's just a really nice light coming into this room. The next thing you want to choose is a room that's going to be nice and quiet, and also that you can heat up to get really warm, because heat is a really important factor when taking newborn pictures as well. If you have a space heater, definitely bring that in to get this room really warm. You will probably be sweating, but it's going to help your baby sleep and be comfortable. Another thing you have to kind of get prepped for before you can start your session is you want to choose a blanket to lay the baby on, to pose the baby on. Something that's thick and stretchy and soft and maybe has a little bit of texture in it. That would be ideal. I wouldn't choose something that's too thin, like a sheet that's going to show a lot of wrinkles underneath it. Something that's thicker and stretchier is going to be a lot more forgiving to wrinkles and showing bumps and lumps underneath it. So this is a little throw blanket that I have, and I'm going to use this one today. You will also need some supports for your baby, so a rolled up towel works really good. A pair of rolled up socks. If you have some receiving blankets or bark cloths or even diapers, those will work too, but you're going to need some things to help support your baby. You also will need a wrap. And I know a lot of you probably don't have newborn wraps around your house, but the wraps that I use for photographing are long and stretchy, and they are about 18 to 20 or so inches long this way. A lot of the receiving blankets or wraps that you might find in baby stores are going to be more of a square swaddling blanket. Those are a lot of times a little too big or have a little too much fabric to work well when you're trying to wrap the baby up to get them in a nice tight little ball. So if you have time and can either order something, Etsy would have a lot of newborn wraps, or if you can get some fabric online, get something stretchy and knit, and then you can cut it to the appropriate length. What else here? So I've got my little cheat sheet. If you want to use any props like headbands or hats, get those ready to go. So if you have the blanket that you want to lay the baby on, your supports, and all your props, the next thing you'll want to do is feed the baby. Get them a full tummy. Feeding the baby, having them have a full tummy and heat is super important. So once the baby's fed, once the room is warm, one other thing you're going to want to need, I'm going to put a blog all together for this so you guys can refer to that. And I'm also going to share some of the pictures that I take from today too, so you'll have some good examples. But in addition to the heat and finding the best light and feeding the baby is you're going to want some white noise. If you're using a space heater, that will probably put out some white noise. But you could also, there's a lot of apps that you can have on your phone, or you might even already have something that you were given as a gift or have that puts out some, maybe a shushing noise or a womb noise. Any sort of white noise that will help soothe the baby and get them to sleep would be great. So that's really all of my prep tips that I have. So I'll go ahead and set up my shooting space and we'll get ready to take some pictures, and I'll kind of show you what I do and how to place the light for the baby. So we'll get this set up here. I'm going to move my camera this way just a little bit. Another tip I would have on a space to shoot is somewhere that you can have access to a bed. It's not 100% needed, but it would be really helpful. So I'm going to use this bed here. I'm going to put some layers of blankets down first. Get a nice padded area. The more layers and padding you have, the more the top layer blanket is going to be flat and won't show as many lumps and bumps underneath it. So I'm going to put down a few blankets here first. And I'm using the headboard of the bed here to make kind of a backdrop for some of the shots. If you don't have this exact setup, that's okay. You can make do with what you have or improvise with some other creative ideas on how to make a little backdrop area. One thing about this time is I've had to be very creative. Things that you get so used to having available and they're not anymore, you find other ways to get it done. Okay, and finally, my top blanket. I always am so particular about how flat and smooth my blankets are. I don't like to have any wrinkles or catches in them at all. So that's pretty good. If you have little clamps, you could even, I see a little crease there, that really bugs me. So if I were going to take these pictures to hang on my wall, sorry, I'll turn this way, I would want to do something about that crease. So if you have any clamps or anything to clamp that down and get it really nice and flat, I would do something to get it as smooth as I can. So now we're going to wrap the baby up. And I'll kind of show you briefly. I'm not going to do a perfect wrap here, but I'll show you what I like to do when I wrap babies up. I do this in my lap, and I take my wrap and I put it right underneath baby here. Lay it flat in my lap here, and I just have a little bit of extra material over on my right with all the rest of it just laying out here to my left. And I'll put baby's neck or the top of their shoulders close to the top of my wrap here. And the first thing I do is fold up their little legs, just right like that. Then I take the bottom of my wrap and I put it over top of their legs. I'm going to want to get their feet out later though, so I want to keep that in mind when I'm wrapping them up to not lock this in super tight. Just one little folded material will be covering their legs. And then I want to get their hands up kind of close to their face, because I will be getting their hands out later as well, and so I don't want them pinned down to their side. I want them to be easy to access. So I have their legs covered up, have their hands up here. I'm going to take this little bit of excess over here on my right and put it, kind of tighten it across them, and then I'm going to tuck it in under their shoulder, right there. In some ways, working with a baby doll is a lot easier because they don't cry, but it's in no way like working with a real baby. It's a little bit harder to wrap them up, and they don't move quite the same way a real baby does. Okay. So then I've got that wrapped underneath there. I've got the one layer over their legs. Now we start to just wrap them up the rest of the way. You can either keep their hands in, or you can have the hands out if you want. I'm going to keep them in for now. I'm going to wrap this baby up. Wrapping, I know it looks easy, but it takes a lot of practice to make a nice looking wrap. Got lots of years of Wrapping babies gets easier the more you do it, but okay. Try to get your wrap as decent looking as you can. And we are set. I don't have a headband to put on this little guy, so we'll just go with this. I'm going to set the baby down and then I'll move my camera so you guys have a little bit better angle of what I'm doing here. Hopefully right about there will be good. Okay, this is where you're going to take your supports. So my towel is right here. This towel is pretty thick, so I'm going to let some of it out so it's not so thick. It kind of just depends on the size of your towel and also how big your baby is. But I'm going to put this towel underneath my bottom layer of blankets, kind of close up to the top here. Get it nice and smooth. I actually could use some more blankets underneath this because you can see it's starting to kind of sink around this towel. If it were padded up, would lay a lot smoother. So don't be stingy with the amount of blankets you put under your top layer. It would just, any amount that you put under there is going to make it smoother and lay flatter. Okay, I'm going to stretch this out, get it nice and flat. All right, we're going to take baby here and lay them right on the towel so they're nice and supported. Now I have the baby laying right to the side of the window. The light from the window is just coming in right at its side. I wouldn't want to have baby facing towards the window. That's a really unnatural and unflattering way to light them. It's like the light is shooting up their nose, and it's not the ideal way to light them. So having it coming in from the side, you also could angle baby slightly this way, and the light comes down more on that side of their face. So I wouldn't do it that way. They're too shadowed there. You definitely want, partially lit on the side, partial shadow on that side. So any sort of angle from the side to maybe that much of an angle is ideal. Okay, and then I'm going to use my son's iPhone to shoot this with. If you have an SLR camera, that's great, but I would just make sure if you're going to use an SLR camera that the lens that you're using has a pretty low aperture. iPhones are built in, their cameras that are built in have pretty low aperture settings. So if you're using an iPhone, put it into portrait mode because that's going to give you the lowest aperture. And then this is where you just start shooting away, getting different angles, getting close in, get those detail shots of the little eyelashes and lips. You can kind of do it like this angle. Push my hands out of the way there. Get up above them, shoot down their nose. I don't like to shoot up their nose. Nobody wants to see that. And then just move yourself around a little bit. Make sure you're getting nice and focused in on the detail that you want to focus in on. And then I'm going to adjust baby a little bit in my towel. I'm going to angle it just slightly that way. I'm going to angle baby's body a little more away from the window, but then I'm going to take their head. And this is where a baby doll does not move like a real baby. But if this were a real baby, I would kind of lift its chin up and turn it towards the light. There we go. If you notice your blanket's getting a little wrinkled around here, you can even lift it up and stretch it with your hand as you're shooting. Play with your angles, play with how close you get to them, how far away you get. Just remember not to shoot up the nose. That's the biggest thing I stay away from. Okay, I'm going to move it back to where we were when we started. And I'm going to get the feetsies out. So I'm going to kind of undo my wrap a little bit. It's gotten really messy. And I'm going to find that one little layer that was covering the feet. And I'm going to pull that out and bring the little feet out. Kind of keep them crossed. Tuck baby back in. And this is where if this was a real life baby and I were to let the feet go, they might kind of kick out. And so I'm going to add another little support in underneath their feet. So it kind of keeps their feet from kicking out. Because when babies have no control of their limbs, and they tend to startle themselves when they move too quick. This is where you can get some nice detail shots of their feet. Again, you can play with angles. Make sure you keep your blanket nice and flat. And get some more pullback shots of the full body here. And then we can take baby's hands out. Just kind of undo the wrap, pull their hands out. And then you can just play with the placement of their hands. Put it up by their cheek. Going that way. You could put it on both sides of their cheeks, like that. And then one of my favorites is to put their hands up by their head, back behind their head. I would put baby's feet in at this point though, because if you get too much out at one time, it's really going to startle them. So if you kind of tuck baby's feet back in there, get them nice and cozy again. And then completely pull their arms out. This is one of my favorite poses, but you have to be really patient with it. Pull their arms out, and then with your fingers and the palm of your hand, you're going to put, basically hold their elbows and their hands completely down until you feel them relax. And you'll be able to tell. It might take 1 minute, it might take 2 minutes, it might take 5 minutes. But just hold it there until they're completely relaxed, and then you can very slowly start to take away the pressure. And then pick up the camera again, start snapping away, get that blanket smoothed out. And again, that's one of my favorite poses. But they do startle easily in this position, so again, you have to go really slow and have lots of patience. Okay, so that's a lot of just real simple back poses that you can do with them. And I'll show you how to move them over to their tummies next. I would keep them wrapped up when you move them onto the tummy. But you're going to take your towel that's underneath here, pull it a little more forward, and then angle it slightly towards the window. There we go. Get that nice and flat again. Smooth. And then we'll take baby. The legs are already wrapped up, kind of pinned up against their tummy, almost like a little frog. With this, when they go on their tummy, you want their legs to be kind of tucked up underneath them like a frog. And then their hands are already out. So I take baby and place them rump down first. Let them relax here, and then move their hands to underneath their chin. And then put your hand underneath their little hands there as you slowly lower them forward. And this baby, again, it's not going to lay like a real baby does. But real babies should relax nice and easy onto the towel there. You're going to have to mess with the wrap a little bit to get it tucked in, because you don't want it to look real sloppy there in the background. And then keep their elbows out. Try to keep their hands together underneath their chin, and then you can get them on their tummies. And again, this takes time. You have to be really patient. Sometimes you have to kind of hold your hand on them here to support them until they're nice and relaxed and in position. Sometimes you kind of have to pat their bottom right there. But once they're relaxed, you can slowly take your hands away. Just be careful there, because their head can wobble a bit here. You might have to take a little diaper, roll it up and tuck it underneath their elbows to help support them before you take your hands away. But this is a relatively safe pose to do with them. Just make sure they're real comfy and supported, and rested before you move your hands away. And this is not a great angle to get with the baby doll, but this is one of my favorite poses too, and they're on their tummies. But anyways, then you can play with putting them on their side here. You can do different things with their hands. You can put it up there. But yeah, that's a cute pose too. The next pose I wanted to show you is if you wanted to take pictures with like mom or dad, have the baby pose with mom and dad or siblings. So I'm gonna have my daughter come in and help us with that. She's waiting outside for me. So let me go get her and then I'll move my camera too. You ready, hon? Mm-hmm. Okay. This is Evelyn. She's got a pretty white dress on. I'm gonna put this about right here, I think.
I got tangled up.
Uh-oh. Okay, we are going to get rid of all the blankets.
Hi.
Okay, ready?
Yeah, Mommy.
Okay, make the bed look decent again. Okay, so when you're having baby posed with either mom or dad or an older sibling, keep it right next to the window here, right next to the really good light. You can have a seat here. Okay, I'm gonna wrap this baby back up again. It's got sloppy. Keep the hands in again. Okay, this is not a great wrapping job, but it'll do. Okay, so this is where light again comes in. It's pretty important. I would never put baby facing away from the window because again that's going to give the, here, turn towards me just a little more. That's going to give the effect of the light going up the nose where you would want it to go more down the nose. And that way. So keep baby well lit there, not too shadowed. Let me turn this a little more that way. And I'll take some pictures here, and again I'll share these pictures on my blog post too, so you can kind of see what I got with an iPhone. And that's really cute, Abby. But we need baby out just a little bit more because I can't see baby's head. Okay, put your cheek right on baby's head there. Chin up just a little bit. There we go. It's okay. Okay, ready? Big smile here, baby girl. Turn a little more towards me. No, towards me. There we go. That's okay. That's hold your baby. Don't let baby go. Put that hand down too a little bit. Okay. Chin up just a little more. Look at your baby. Oh, these are gorgeous. I mean, for an iPhone, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. But a lot of it is just the way it's lit and the quality of light that I have on her. So, look down at your baby. Oh, so pretty. Okay, stand on up. Just staying close to the window, having that really pretty light is so important. Okay, we're gonna hold baby against your chest like that, and then put your hands up here on her head. Support her head. Don't cover up her head. And she has purple nail polish on. I don't recommend having purple nail polish when you take these pictures. Oh, and your dress is coming down. Okay. All right, look at your baby. Okay, we're going to turn baby's head this way just a little bit.
A little bit.
And then can you look at me too, Abby? Can you put cheek up next to baby? Oh, so pretty. Okay, stop. Okay, now close your eyes. Okay. So sweet. All right, and then so right here you can see baby is a little bit shadowed, but as long as you have enough light on baby's face and mommy's face, that's ideal. And then we can lay baby on your chest, but just keep baby's head out. Okay, put your hand on baby there. Lower just a little bit. Now look at me. Look at me a little more. There we go. I'm sorry. Okay, so you can just play with posing, but it's so the light right here is what I kind of wanted to show you and explain to you on how to properly light everybody up. Okay, turn towards window. Baby's pretty shadowed right there, so I'm going to have her turn towards the window a little bit more. Okay, look at me, big smile. Look at your baby. Oh, so cute.
Okay, I'll be done.
All right, guys, I hope this helps. I can't wait to, where'd the baby go?
Right here.
I can't wait to be back to work. I miss doing my newborn sessions and getting such precious pictures for everyone because this is such a special time of your life, and I know it's so scary with the coronavirus having babies right now. I couldn't imagine having my babies at this this day and age, but I just hope that this whole virus thing passes and we can get back to work and back to shooting for my clients. So, all right, well, take care, and I hope everybody's
Bye.
staying well and not sick. So, talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.